There's a conversation you've been avoiding, and it might be the one thing standing between you and a breakthrough. Hi, I'm John Ryan. I'm a master trainer and coach. And over the last 3 decades in both my personal and professional life, I've noticed something. There's always a conversation waiting to happen. In business, in relationships, and even with ourselves, there's often a truth that we haven't spoken, a boundary that we haven't set, or a question that we haven't asked. And here's the thing, when we avoid those conversations, things don't just stay neutral. At best, they stay the same, but more often than not, they slowly get worse. Relationships drift apart not because of one big blow up, but because of dozen unspoken moments. Teams underperform not because people aren't talented, but because expectations were never clarified. Leaders burn out not because they couldn't handle the pressure, but because they never voiced what they really needed. And sometimes the most damaging silence is the one inside, when we avoid the truth that we need to face within ourselves. And the good news is that one powerful conversation can change everything. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 types of life-changing conversations organized by the past, the present, and the future. So you can break through stuckness, you can reconnect with purpose, and move forward with clarity. So let's jump in and talk about the 7 key conversations. Now, some people might call these difficult conversations, but I'm not a fan of that phrasing because it assumes that it's going to be difficult, but instead they're simply important, key, if you will. And like a good key, it can open the door to new possibilities. And keep in mind, these aren't the only key conversations you can have, but these are a solid start for you and for your clients. Let's start by taking a look at the past. There are 3 different types of past conversations we're going to look at. And the first one to look at is the apology. And the apology conversation, as you can imagine, is trying to make amends for a withdrawal that we made in the relationship, whether it was something that we said or did, or something that we didn't say or didn't do that we actually should have. Now, the opposite of the apology is the forgiveness conversation, where you weren't the one who made the withdrawal, someone else did, and you want to clear the slate not only for them, but primarily for you. So you want to let them know that you're off the hook and that you actually forgive them. And this can be done either internally, just in your mind, so you can make sure you're not holding on to negative baggage for other people, or you can actually have a conversation with other people to let them know that you've forgiven them and they owe you nothing. And the third type of conversation we can look at from the past is a healing conversation. And to be fair, an apology or forgiveness conversation is an example of a healing conversation. That's kind of part of the purpose, to heal the relationship or at least heal ourselves. But a healing conversation can also happen where there's no need to apologize, nor is there any need to ask for someone else's forgiveness. Perhaps it's just an unsettled conflict or disagreement or misunderstanding that you need to talk through to the person so you can make sure that you clear the air. So you can do any one of these conversations on their own and guide your clients to do the same thing, or you can even combine them all into one large conversation. Now that we've cleared the air on the past, it's time to fast forward into the present. And there's 2 types of conversations we're going to look at here in the present moment. And the first one is boundaries and closure. And one of the things that I found as an executive coach is helping clients to learn how to set boundaries is one of the most powerful things that you can do, especially if your self-sabotage style is overachiever or people pleaser. Now, people pleaser makes sense. Of course, they need to learn how to set boundaries. But overachievers, you think they'd be able to make that decision, but a lot of times they're so focused on the end goal and producing the results they're committed to in their professional life that they're willing to sacrifice themselves. And so oftentimes our work is focused around learning how to set boundaries to make a more sustaining lifestyle. And on the extreme end of setting boundaries is the closure conversation, where you set up such a firm boundary that you end the relationship, whether that's professionally, letting someone go, or quitting your job, or changing careers, or even in your personal life where there isn't any values alignment with the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And I highly recommend, if you have any open loop relationships that aren't serving you anymore, is to really take a look at it and determine, do I want to keep these relationships open? One way to think about it is that you have an internet browser open with a ton of tabs, and tabs that you're never going to go to again, but they keep on draining your bandwidth. So take a look at the tabs you have open and determine, do I need to close these off so I can create space for what's in the future, or are they worthwhile keeping open? And the next type of present-based conversation is reality and accountability. And this is when you take a hard look at, where am I now and where do I want to be? And am I really doing what's necessary to get where I want to be? For example, if you want to lose weight, but you're not really doing anything about it, that might be a good time for a reality conversation. Or you've been planning or talking about starting a business for years, but you never really do anything about it, it might be time for a reality conversation. And you can have a reality conversation with yourself. You can also have a reality conversation with others, assuming that you have trust in the relationship. And if you're not sure, you can always ask for permission. I remember when I was in MBA school, my focus was split, to say the least. I was a full-time student. I just completed my first marathon. I was in a band, and I was also working on my business plan for the company I've now had for the better part of 3 decades. And at the time, I was spending a lot of time focusing on the band, not only coding out songs for myself, but also helping others in the band who were less experienced learn how to play the songs as well. And my wife, who happened to be my girlfriend at the time, had a reality conversation with me. She noticed my split focus and said, hey, just out of curiosity, do you want to be a professional speaker or do you want to be a professional musician? I said, I want to be a professional speaker. Why do you ask? She said, well, I just happened to notice that all of your free time is spent on learning songs and writing down songs for other people to learn rather than focusing on developing your business. And as I look back, that was the first of many reality conversations that have gotten me back on the path as we move forward over the years. So that's an example of a reality conversation. Then we also have an accountability conversation kind of in the same category. The accountability conversation is similar to the reality conversation, except oftentimes we're checking in on promises of what people said they were going to do in the past and see where we are in the present. Hey, last week you said you're going to do X. Just want to check in. Where are we in regards to that? And if you're a leader or a coach, this is one you definitely want to use on a consistent basis, because otherwise, if we don't have those accountability conversations, our employees, our team members, they tend to drift. And now that we have 2 types of conversations we can do in the present, let's take a look towards the future by looking at expectations and vision. And when we tend to think about expectations and vision, oftentimes we go right into the context of business, because that's what business is all about, is trying to create the future. But it's also extremely powerful in relationships and family dynamics. What is the vision for your family? What do you expect of your partner? What do you expect of your children? What do you expect of yourself? And to make sure that you have that common vision, because without a vision, people perish. So this is making sure that we have clarity both for ourselves and for the other people in our family or professional unit. And this type of conversation was a game changer for me, and probably was for you in many respects as well. I know when I think back on my career, where did it really start? It really began in 1996. The very first domino that led me on this path was attending a seminar on NLP, and the trainer at the front of the room asked a question that I'll never forget. He said, I want you to think about where you want to be 5 years from now, because 5 years from now will arrive. The question is, where will you be? And the time to plan for that is not 5 years from now, but today. And that was the very first time that I thought about where I wanted to be. And I looked up and I saw the trainer and I said, that's where I want to be. I want to be on stage. I want to help other people live their best lives. And that's what I've done for the last 30 years. So in addition to cleaning up the past and handling issues in the present moment, it's incredibly important also to take a step back and look at, where do we want to be in the future? What are my expectations for the future? What's the vision that we're trying to build? And there's one more conversational framework that I want to share with you that you can use anytime, and that is gratitude and acknowledgement. And there are many ways to express gratitude, but if you want to, just really keep it simple. When you see something amazing, acknowledge it. Hey, I saw that you did X and I really appreciate it. Acknowledgement and gratitude all in once. Or have that on the past. Think of someone who's influenced you, who helped impact you in some way, shape, or form, and go out there and reach out and let them know what kind of impact they had. Or maybe take a moment and just look around you and think about the people that are most important. You can just reach out to them and let them know how you feel. Because in the end, that's what life is all about. It's all about people, and it's all about relationships. And these conversational frameworks help you and your clients improve relationships, not only with others, but also with themselves. So which conversation is calling your name? Maybe it's time to finally speak a truth that you've been holding back, or express appreciation that you've never really said out loud, or maybe just simply getting clear about what you want moving forward. Because at the end of the day, powerful conversations don't just change relationships, they change direction, they change identity, and they even change lives. And the sooner you have that conversation, the sooner things begin to shift. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and let me know what's one conversation you know it's time to have. Until next time, develop yourself, empower others, and lead by example.